G'day everybody, welcome back to another episode of Crafted by Tim. It's super bright out and I forgot to film an intro. But we're going to be making this. It's still hot because it's like, I just lit it. It's awesome, it works, it's fantastic. Let's get on to the build. Alright, so first things first, we're going to start off by making the base. Things might look a little bit different now, because they are, considering that I'm filming this about 1 to 2 weeks before the rest of the build. And that is because stuff takes like 2 weeks to dry, so we gotta start early. Okay, to start off with, what we've got is 3 pieces of timber. 2 of these are 23 centimeters long, and that's at the top here, and they've got a 45-degree cut on them. This one has 2, and then we have a 45-degree cut on this 28 centimeter long one. Once again, I'm measuring from the top side, as well as some angle line here. Okay, so this angle line is 25 by 25 millimeters, and the plan is to take a Sharpie and mark out where I'm going to be making my cuts. Now, I'm only going to be making 45-degree cuts. Basically, this is going to be my short side, this is going to be my long side, and I'm going to take out a 90-degree angle, and then when I bend it, I'm going to be able to form the corners. So I only need to really cut into one side. Well, I guess I'm just too strong because I ended up snapping them all. I was trying to bend it into shape, but I think that this will actually work out kind of better because I can make sure that I'm going to get a 90-degree weld on all of them. I really wish I had more of these magnets, but I don't. So I'm just going to do 2 corners at a time. Been a little while. This here is the refractory that I'm using. Now, this is insulating cement mix, which means that it insulates rather than absorbs the heat. So, rather than absorbing it and heating up my base, it should deflect the heat back around the forge. Now, on the back side of this, it says maximum service temperature is 900 degrees Celsius, which isn't good, but I have lots of it, so hopefully I'll be able to manage. Hopefully. And maybe when I run out, what I'll do is I'll go out and I'll get the refractory cement mix instead. This is our base as of right now. I welded a solid piece of flat stock of sheet metal onto the bottom, so about 3 millimeters thick. We also welded up another frame, welded it on top. The frame was slightly small, so I had to botch it a little bit, and yeah, it looks like absolute hell, but that's fine, we won't even see it. Okay, let's go put on a dust mask. And one more thing, I'm going to use 12 cups of this to 4 cups of water. That should hopefully be enough. 4 cups. Okay, so I forgot to film anything about this, but we're about to cut this top brick down to size. This is high density heat fireproof bricks, or something similar to that. I believe this is a fireproof tile. I don't know whether or not there's a difference, but anyway, we're going to use a diamond cutting blade on the angle grinder to cut this down, and we're also going to soak it in water for about an hour beforehand to make sure that it cuts easily, and the water also helps reduce the amount of dust that comes up whilst cutting it. By the way, this is a 300 by, well, it was a 300 by 300, now it's a 300 by 25, no, 23. Alright, that'll be $40. Wait. $40 for a whole saw. What is it, made of diamonds or something? So we're going to have to drill through this, and we've got our diamond cutting bit. Now, unfortunately, I couldn't get the right hole saw size, so we're 1mm short. But oops, this pretty well ensures that we're going to get a really tight fit up. If you did want to put in two burners, I would probably drill them in like quarters or something like that, so you can make sure that you can get your 2 burners in there. Anyway, the burners that I'm using are these 1/2-inch burners. I got these from Artisan Supplies. They're really nice looking, and you have complete control over how much airflow you're getting and all the rest of it. So these are actually really, really nice burners. Look at that. And they obviously come with a regulator. So this goes to your standard 4 or 9 kilo gas bottle. But anyway, let's get a hole in this, and we'll see how we go from there. Stop. Hammer time. You'll have to excuse the squeaking in the background. There's a solar powered fan on the window still, and it's, I think, the bearing's shot. So. Kind of fits. Let me just get rid of some of this gunk in here. There we go. Uh-oh. That might actually be stuck in there now. I could probably get it out with a hammer, but I think that's fine. Let's just unscrew this. So now that we have that done, we basically just have to wait for this thing to dry, and then we can cement everything together. This here is the general frame of my forge. I've got a little bit more to put on here, but these are the bricks that I'm using. I'm using these 25mm bricks, so they're 25 by 114 or 115 by 230mm long. I've got 4 of those. 2 of them I'm going to cut a 45 on, and then they're going to make up the doors. And I want to have 2 pieces of angle iron going across here, and I'm going to fill up the rest of this mold with some fireproof mortar. And that's the same stuff that I used on my previous build. The reason why I'm using it on this one is because it's disposable. I've still got half of the packing, and I want to use it up, particularly as it will probably be going off sometime soon. I really don't want to waste it. Unfortunately, I ran out of battery, and then I didn't realize I had run out of battery, so, well, I did quite a bit of work there. But that's fine, because it was just basically the same thing. I basically just cut down 2 pieces of piping, the tubing. Now, the first ones I actually kind of cut to the wrong size. They're a little bit too thin, so I decided to have thin ones on the top, and then thicker ones on the bottom. course these need quite a bit of cleaning up. But that's basically how they're going to go. I need to cut out a segment of the bottom one, and by the looks of it, quite a bit of that bottom one. I got to cut out enough so the brick sits in there nicely. Alternatively, I could probably just cut down the brick. No, I'll drop it down so it's level with the mortar that's already in there. That way I have a neat surface to weld to and everything like that, and then the rest I'll just take off the brick. Look at all the dust that came just from cutting out the tubing. It's pretty thick stuff, and it's... I went through like 2 blades doing it.
Nice.
Okay, so it's been just about a week since we have created the base for this here forge, and because of that, it's pretty well time that we can move on to the next step, which is mortaring everything in place. Now, you might recognize this stuff. This is the stuff that I use on my previous forge build. It's rated to 1000 degrees Celsius. Obviously we're going to get the inside of the forge hotter than that because we're going to be doing forge welding inside it. So will this be able to withstand the temperature that we're after? No, of course not. But what it will be able to do is it will be able to hold it enough. Now the direct heat of the burner might be a little bit too hot, so I've got these 4 pieces of these the bricks that we cut down for the door. We had to trim off a little bit off the top. Now they fit in here. We ended up with little pieces like this. What we're going to do is we're going to put those 4 pieces right there in the center. So we're going to mix up some high temperature mortar. I'm going to go grab a cup of water. So what the minimum amount that we need is approximately 4 cups. So that's 4 cups of this, 1 cup of water. We also want a little bit extra so we can line the inside of the forge a little bit. This is eventually going to break and it's eventually not going to work any longer, but that's fine because as long as it works in the beginning, then I know that I'm onto something good. I can get more of this pretty easily. I've still got heaps more of that other mortar, so I can do it that way. So let's mix this up. Okay, so there's like this line between too wet and too dry, and I can safely say that for the entirety of that I might have been on the too wet side, which is surprising because I thought that it would be like heck is dry. There's the inside. Looks like the inside looks, yeah, okay-ish, I guess. Don't mind the random mannequin in the background. My brother's making a shirt. Cool. So, whilst that's drying, it's going to take about 48 hours to dry fully, and then I'm probably going to leave it for another 24 to maybe 48 hours. Basically, I want to just give it as much time as necessary because I do think I added just a little bit too much water. But already it's been about maybe 2.5 hours, and it's starting to consolidate quite well, so I am thinking that this isn't going to take too long. So, I want to take this opportunity to talk about the burner that I'm using. So this is a 1/2-inch burner. They're made by Artisan Supplies. Now, Artisan Supplies is a website based in Australia. They ship to pretty well all over the world. Just go to the website, there's going to be a link in the description, to the forge burners as well as just to their homepage. It's a really cool website because it's got everything that you need when it comes to blacksmithing, knife making, working with ceramics like glass making, leatherwork, which is awesome because it's actually really difficult to find a lot of this sort of stuff. They have forge burner kits. This one was, I think, $103. And the other good thing about it is the fact that they have shipping, which up to $200. It's just 20 bucks. 20 bucks. And then you look at like all the UK and US sites that you're trying to get. Australia is smack bang in the middle of nowhere, so getting stuff ordered to Australia is usually really expensive. A lot of the time shipping itself costs more than what you're actually buying, which is annoying. I'd strongly recommend checking them out because they're really awesome people. Anyway, so the kit comes with a regulator. This is a 0 psi to 60 psi, which is about 4 bar. And of course the 1/2-inch burner and the coupling, which is actually currently stuck inside the top of my forge. That's pretty cool. I'm really happy with that. But a lot of you might be wondering why it is that I'm doing what I'm doing. Why it is that I'm making a new forge. Seemed like only a year ago, and it was, that I made my last. Well, that's for a very complicated reason. The previous forge, there wasn't too much wrong with it. It worked pretty good, for the most part, you know, good results, and I was pretty happy with it. I was able to forge weld in it, and I was able to do things that I really didn't anticipate being able to do. And it was nice, it was small, it was able to heat up really quickly, all the rest of it. You know, really good small forge for doing small stuff. Now, one of the main reasons why I wanted to upgrade was because I wanted to do longer pieces, things like fire pokers and stuff like that, and that I just couldn't do unless I was just doing work to, you know, maybe 3 to 4, maybe 6 inches at most on either end. Could I have stuck with that old forge? Yeah, like personally, yeah, I might have been able to get away with it. I wouldn't have really wanted to. I was much more happy to sort of just spend the money on it. Was I legally allowed to continue to use that forge? No. So this is where things start to get a little bit more serious. I, without any kind of knowledge, committed a felony kind of thing. I'm not entirely sure. Laws when it comes to this sort of stuff, and I haven't really looked into it very much, but I am, with how easy it was to just get a new forge burner, I thought, oh, better safe than sorry. I'm going to be releasing a separate video on this subject by itself, and I might even delete the previous forge burner build video because I don't want you guys getting in trouble. You know, I had no idea that what I was doing wasn't, you know, legal, and I don't want you guys being put into the same situation. So, this is my old burner. Goes the other way. This forge burner is a propane forge burner, which means that it runs on propane. And in Western Australia, I believe it is a felony to tamper with things that deal with gas. My mum works with, I think it was a colleague's husband who works for WorkSafe. And apparently this guy picked up a barbecue off the side of the road and he was like, that seems pretty good. It's free, I'll take it home and have a look at it. Takes it home, has a look at it, figures out what's wrong with it, fixes it up, and turns it on. Everything runs fine. Turns it on a few more times. Everything runs fine. Anyway, eventually it got to the point where, boom, something goes wrong and it blows up in his face. Now, I'm not entirely sure what happened to the guy. I think he ended up with pretty serious burns. So he ended up going to hospital. Then he went to WorkSafe, or WorkSafe went to him, or he was looking for compensation whilst he was going to be off work. And WorkSafe turned around and said, what you did was actually illegal. We won't be giving you any compensation for it. You won't be able to, be paid for the time that you take off work because you're not a licensed gas fitter and you messed around with gas fittings. I had no idea that what I did was actually not legal. Thinking back on it now, I guess, yeah, maybe it's a bit of common sense. But at the same time, no one throughout, no one at Bunnings knew, and if they did, they didn't tell me. I'm not trying to pass blame off, but I think that if this is something that should really not be done because it is a big time felony or anything like that, there should be signs everywhere that you can buy a gas bottle. It is illegal to tamper with gas fittings without being a licensed gas fitter. Because if I saw that, truth be told, I would probably turn around and be like, well, that sucks. Okay, I'll look for another way around it. Because I don't want to be telling you guys the wrong thing. Anyway, so this is illegal. I didn't know when I made it, and I'm going to correct my wrongs now. So let's do just that. These aren't the only reasons why I wanted to remake my forge. There are other things that come into it, like the last one wasn't very good at insulating. We saw the breakage last year when the fire was actually burning a hole directly through the side of the forge. That's not nice. Yeah, there are a bunch of other different reasons why I wanted to remake my forge. And one of them, and this is just one of them, I want to make sure that what I'm doing is legal. And I want to make sure that you guys know the same amount that I know. So, I'll see you guys when this forge is finished drying. So for that'll be like, a 5-second transition or something. And for me, it's going to be another 48 to 96 hours. I'll see you soon.
4 to 6 days later.
So today's the day. We're going to light up the forge, which is here, but the gas bottle's over there. Here I have a small container of dishwashing liquid with a little bit of water in it. Disregard the rusty jar of vinegar. That didn't work at all, so yep, we're not going to talk about that. We're just going to gently pour that just basically over anything that could leak. So I want to do it over here. So as of right now, we have the regulator turned right down, and what we're going to do is we're going to gently turn this on, just a little bit. Oh, before we do that, double check to make sure that this is off, so that's all the way to the off position. That little bit open. A little bit of towards the on position. I don't see any bubbles. I think we're good. No, I don't hear it. I don't see any bubbles. Okay, cool. So now we're going to let the forge clear itself of all air. I've got both doors open so you can see it right way through, and that's going to let the air come through. We're going to make sure that there's no gas inside the forge when we go to light it up. Otherwise you're going to have a bad time, so wait about 5 to 10 minutes. Even 15 minutes is fine. For this next part we're going to actually light the forge. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and grab a small scrap of paper. What I'm going to do is I'm going to close it back. And we're going to throw a scrap of paper on fire into the forge. We're going to leave the forge set to low. So currently the oxygen is completely closed, or the air intake is completely closed. We're going to open that up once we have the fire going, and we're only going to leave it pretty low because we don't want a really hot flame straight away, because we need to still make sure that the forge is completely dry. If it's still wet, then we'll end up with cracking if we heat it up too quickly. So this should help with that. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to turn up the gas a little bit. So you'll notice that the flame is not very consistent, and that's because my gas bottle isn't warm yet. As the sun rises and it moves into the sun, the gas bottle will warm up, and then you'll get more streams like that, where it's much more consistent, and that's when the gas is heated up to the point where it's no longer a liquid, and it's no longer relying on that pressure to get it out. It's just evaporating inside the gas bottle and just blowing out. Like that. Also got to redress the face of my anvil because that's a bit meh. Okay, so now whilst that's heating, just settle my tongues, they're a bit hot. Okay, so whilst that's heating back up again, I wanted to talk about the forge as well as the gas bottle that I'm using. So the gas bottle that I'm using is a 9 kilogram gas bottle, which means that it's bigger than the recommended size. As I mentioned earlier, the recommended size is a 4 kilo gas bottle. The reason why is because of the amount of volume inside one of those gas bottles. A 4 kilogram gas bottle has a lot less gas in it than a 9 kilogram gas bottle, which means that the pressure inside it is, although very similar, it means that it's going to allow gas to heat up a little bit quicker, and it'll be able to evaporate a little bit quicker, so that you don't have your fluctuation in inside your forge of the forge burner, how it's doing that on and off thing. So there's two ways that I can fix this problem. I could heat up my gas bottle, and there's a few different ways that you can do that. You can grab a towel and stick it inside the microwave. Sometimes it helps if it's a little bit wet, but not too wet, because you don't want to rust your gas bottle. Especially if you're going to trade it in or try and get it refilled, because they probably won't accept it if it's got like serious rust. There's other ways, such as like heating up a bucket of sand and then setting the gas bottle into the bucket of sand. Or the other alternative is I just downgrade to a 4 kilogram gas bottle, and I can fix my problem that way, and I should get a much more consistent flame like I've got now. For some reason it's decided to go really consistent now. So the other forge was called Mushu, because it was small. This forge, however, is a lot bigger. So it stands to reason that we shall call it the Great Stone Dragon. Yeah? No? Yeah? I don't know. Let me know what you think. I'm sitting here because it's like super bright over there. I don't really want to be squinting at you guys. It's still pretty bright here anyway. But the forge, what do I think of it? It's good. I actually really like it. It's much more professional than the last one. And I was able to work what I was working on pretty quick. Problems though that I encountered was the regulation of the burner. That wasn't great. It wasn't very consistent. And once again, that comes back to gas bottle size and stuff like that, and that can be sort of fixed. Other thing that I had a problem with was the forge had to heat up first before you could throw your stock in there and start forging. Once the forge had heated up like completely, it was awesome. It heated up while I was working really quickly. It was like a matter of maybe a minute to heat up that little piece of steel, and I also had another piece in there that I was just having a little bit of a play with. And yeah, once I had that once it had actually heated up, it was great. It worked fine, but the time that it took to heat up was actually pretty high. So what can you do about that one? Well, you can actually do something. So the forge right now is actually pretty big for the size of the burner. The burner suggests, I can't remember the exact dimensions, but it's basically slightly smaller than the one that I have. So on the burner page you'll find like all of the information about the burner, as well as like a recommended forge size. My forge is slightly bigger than that. So I already have those 2 bricks in there that were the offcuts from the top, and they helped a lot, but I could do better. I will probably end up relining the forge with some more of that insulating refractory, and once I get that done, then it should run really well, and I'll do an update in a few weeks after I get that done. It's not quite peak forging season yet or anything like that. I'm still a little bit early. I want to get this forge running the best I possibly can. I would like to use it for forge welding. It was a little bit cold for forge welding. I will try and fix it as much as I possibly can, and hopefully I'll be able to get it to the point where it will, I won't have any problems with it not being hot enough to forge weld it. But until then, I've actually got a really cool project for you guys coming up very shortly. It should be the next video out. So yeah, remember to stay safe, happy crafting, and as always, cheers.